All right, everybody, welcome back into Inside the Game podcast.
We are a soccer nation.
Have such a deep appreciation for hyper-local, community-based, lower-level soccer. There's going to be millions of fans over here that want to watch and consume as much football as they can.
What you are doing is important. And this is all about, like I said, spreading the gospel. It takes a village, right?
No, I just really appreciate being on here and you being able to provide this platform for, us and all those people grinding away at the lower leagues, just trying to make great things happen. So I really appreciate you, and you guys know what you're doing. And
All right, welcome into episode 331 of Inside the Game. My name is Ryan Glinsky. James Schofield, our producer, in the building as always. And we got a very fun show lined up for you. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Subscribe if you have not already. Get in the chat if you have not already about thoughts on anything. Swiss Michael says hello to you too, as well. As this is it's a fun day here. I get to go to a Tigers baseball game today, so I'm pretty excited about that. They had a big win yesterday, and as the Tigers normally do, they typically don't make it easy towards the end. They typically like to almost blow it, and then they somehow save it at the very, very last second. But we've got a jam-packed show, though. We've got CONMEBOL and CONCACAF. They need to combine once again. They need to combine together. Copa America, this, and that. Maybe we'll talk about USA needing to take care of the region as well, as Mexico has really started to take over. Kevin Sullivan, we didn't get to him yesterday, but we will get to him today at some point. I know the Leagues Cup is going on right now. He had an impressive performance earlier in the week. And Rodri, currently supposedly supposed to go to Barcelona. Is he going to go to Real Madrid? Where is that going? And then if you look at what Manchester City is doing, they are going after a guy about Enzo Fernandez right now. That's who Manchester City is going after. If Rodri does end up leaving, does sound like he is going to leave Manchester City no matter what. He's won legitimately every single thing there is to win in England, and Pep Guardiola is gone. Swiss, no one cares about baseball outside of the U.S. LOL. Don't tell that to James because he loves Japan, and Japan loves baseball.
Exactly.
They're producing robots over in Japan.
Heck yeah, they are.
Again, why are you so in love with Japan? Like, give me like
Okay, so growing up, like, we had you got the people who have their Saturday morning cartoons. Well, mine were anime shows. So I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, all that
anime
stuff.
gotcha.
Yeah, all that anime stuff. Watch Trigun and everything. I grew up back in the day when like Cartoon Network, it was like Adult Swim like first came out. Like that's how I'm aging myself, and Toonami and all that stuff. So I fell in love with that, and then I took Japanese in high school, like learned how to speak the language. Why would you take
Japanese in high school? Why wouldn't you take Spanish like everyone else? Because that's the easiest one.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, I like to be challenged. Secondly, I fell in love with the culture, and I fell in love with the language too. Because believe it or not, the language is actually pretty easy. So
yeah, I'm not drawing all that. I'm not writing all that.
Writing it sucks. They have 3 character sets, so you got to deal with like learning how to do it 3 different times. One of them is like a 3,000 character set. Like there's 3,000 characters in it that you got to learn. but speaking it, great. I love it. I can call you a stupid American. It's great.
Just take Spanish like every other American student because it's the easiest one to do. We didn't even have Japan or Japanese language to take in high school. It was either German, French, or Spanish, and I opted to take Spanish because that was the easiest one.
Yeah.
Again, continue to get your thoughts in the comment section. Dave says afternoon all, afternoon too. Dan says, I agree with you, Swiss, regarding Europe. Basketball is popular in Europe, but not baseball. Yeah, I don't think baseball is really popular in Europe because if you look at the World Baseball Classic, it was all the European teams, like Italy and Great Britain, were all Americans. Like if you actually look at the roster, like the Italian team had a kid who was born in Allen Park, Hazel Park in Michigan. I forget where. And then he went to Central Michigan, and he was in Michigan this entire time. But yeah, that was what he did. And then he played for Italy for whatever reason. I don't know why. But yeah, no, look at it. Let's see here. So it says Transformer Herman, Tom and Jerry, normal kids watched. LOL. I was a big Tom and Jerry guy. I didn't mind Tom and Jerry as a cartoon to watch. I watched Tom and Jerry a lot, and also the Looney Tunes. That was on Cartoon Network during the early afternoons.
Oh yeah, Looney Tunes. Yep, I was there too.
But anyway, moving on into before we move on to the first one, we do have to talk about what's it called. Alexis Sanchez is moving to the MLS, and why is Alexis Sanchez a big thing to talk about? Is because he was my favorite player for Arsenal back in like 2015, 2016, 2017. He is now moving to Montreal, which is the biggest name player they've ever had since Didier Drogba whenever he moved in. And I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. Prime Alexis Sanchez is better than prime Eden Hazard. To argue with a wall that Hazard was better than Sanchez. Sanchez had less talent. He scored more than 20 goals in a season. Eden Hazard never sniffed 20 goals in a Premier League season. Sanchez did. And Sanchez had Olivier Giroud and Theo Walcott as his forward front or partnership. Hazard had Drogba and Willian. Way better attacking players on him. Hazard was able to go one-on-one more times than Alexis Sanchez did. Sanchez was the guy that was having to be the straw that stirred the drink all the time. Wenger never bought a striker for him, never bought a competent midfielder, and never bought a better or an opposite winger of him. Never did. And Sanchez still put up the numbers that he did, and his goals were bangers from distance all the time. Hazard just dribbled through people, but Sanchez is a way better forward than prime Eden Hazard. Argue with a wall. Let's see here. Swiss Michael Roadrunner. Only thing I can say in Spanish, as Dave, is dos cerveza, por favor. Hey man, that's a valid phrase to know. That's a valid. How do you say 2 drinks in Japanese? James, how do you say that? Or do you not know?
Let me see. It'd be ni nomu.
Mi nomu?
Ni nomu.
Mi nomu.
Yep.
2 drinks.
Ni nomu sumimasen.
What does that mean?
Sumimasen is excuse me. Excuse me. Ni nomo.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Sumimasen. Ni nomo. Ni nomu.
Okay, mi nomu.
And then if somebody doesn't understand, you just go, Baka America Gene.
What does that mean?
Stupid American.
Oh, gotcha. Xhaka was not your favorite player? No, because Xhaka literally had 2 good years for Arsenal. Every other year he was getting 3 red cards a season. So no, Xhaka was not the favorite. Vamos a la playa after surveys. Isn't Playa the beach? Isn't Playa the beach, James? Is that how what that translates to? I feel like that's the beach. I don't know. It's been a while since I took Spanish. That's
La Playa, yes.
Okay, it
translates to the beach.
Because there's a commercial. It's like La Playa awaits.
La
it's like
Playa awaits.
I forget what it is, but anyway.
Come mi chica to La Playa. It awaits.
Anyway, we've talked about Japanese language. We talked about Spanish language and what other languages we're going to talk about. I don't know, but LM says yes. I guess that he knows that that is what the beach is. All right. Anyway, moving on into our first topic of discussion here on this wonderful. I haven't taken Spanish since 2018. So it's been 8 years. I have not have taken any other Spanish language class.
The only Spanish he knows at this point are from the Spanish commentators.
Go. That's all you need to
Just
know.
learn how to roll his R's.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's all you need. Anyway, moving on into our first topic though, CONMEBOL and CONCACAF. These two federations need to combine with another one, or with one another, simply because of the fact that they need to catch up with Europe and playing. It's really more of what CONCACAF needs to do, because I think the USA and Mexico and Canada, what you saw this summer was typically kind of like their ceiling. It felt like this was the ceiling of what they typically do in a World Cup, which is get to the round of 16 and never get past it. I mean, the U.S. has gotten past the round of 16 once since World War I, I think is what it is. I know Costa Rica is the most recent CONCACAF team to get past the round of 16. That was in 2014 when they lost to the Netherlands, I believe, in a PK shootout to Tim Krul, who got subbed on. That was a very big thing in that World Cup. But looking at CONMEBOL, looking at CONCACAF, I don't think CONMEBOL has the I know everyone talks about CONCACAF has got not a whole lot of money. No one really cares about the sport of soccer. No. Central America, now that's a sport that really cares about the sport of baseball. But looking at CONCACAF and looking at CONMEBOL, CONMEBOL's got all the history, they've got all the say, they've got all the corruption as well. Shout out Argentina. They've got it all. They've got the greatest player of all time. Shout out Messi. They've got it all, and they've got the history, they've got the better talent. CONCACAF, the United States could, they've got all the money. Canada doesn't really. If you look at Jesse Marsh's contract, they don't have the money in hockey though. They do. But looking at CONCACAF, the USA can provide everything. The USA can provide all the infrastructure, all the stadiums, all the facilities, all the money to facilitate a Copa America like it's nothing. They can do all of that. Mexico, again, they've got a very good, rich soccer history in terms of losing in the round of 16. They've got a very passionate fan base. They've got a very cool stadium in the Azteca. But the USA can provide everything that the CONMEBOL cannot provide in their own continent and in their own tournament, like a Copa America. Now, CONMEBOL, you bring in all that flavor from the talent side of things, all the great players, all the great countries, and all the great teams. They bring them over into CONCACAF. CONCACAF has all the money and all the infrastructure to put this on. I know that one of the biggest things about why CONMEBOL does not want to do anything with CONCACAF in the Copa Americas, because I think besides the last one, I think every other Copa America before that, a USA or a Mexico has gotten to the semifinals of a Copa America, and they want to make sure that the Copa America only has South American teams win it all. Look, CONMEBOL, I don't think the USA or Mexico is going to beat a Brazil, an Argentina, a Colombia anytime soon. Uruguay back in 2010, 2014, I don't think that they were going to win anything either against them. But those teams are never going to beat the CONMEBOL teams in the Copa America, because those teams are just a different level than where those CONCACAF, USA, and Mexico teams are. If you look at USA and Mexico, they're they're always on the outside looking into the best teams of the world. They can compete for a little bit, sure. I think they can. I think they can make things ugly. I think they can make a decent game out of it. But when it comes to the nitty gritty and when it comes down to all that, they're not going to win the matches. They're just not. There's just different levels to the game, as Thierry Henry likes to say. And if you look at the Mexico, England game, the USA versus Belgium game, Canada versus Morocco game, there's just different levels to the game. When Mexico was up a man, that was when they started to take over the game, but they didn't do a whole lot. They just crossed the ball into the box all the time. England, when it was 11v11, they were taking care of business. They were the team that was going for it. They were the team that was defending very well. I know Mexico was able to get a goal from Quinones, but outside of that, they did not do a whole lot in that game. USA, Belgium, they got BTA'd from the beginning. Canada versus Morocco, it was horrible as well. Regardless of what Jesse Marsh had to say, I'd rather be us than rather be them. Shut up. No, you didn't. You lost 4-0 to Morocco. I'd much rather be Morocco than Canada in the World Cup. That was just a stupid, idiotic thing that he could have said. LM says, whether this whole Infantino-Mexico exchange happened or not, Mexico is not wrong for wanting to leave. Mexico needs greater competition than CONCACAF can't provide. Mexico hasn't gotten past the round of 16 in the World Cup since the 80s. So I don't know what this greater competition would do to them. This quote unquote greater competition for Mexico, it wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't win anything, because all they win are gold cups against the B Team USA squad. They still struggled there. And then all they do is they win against the B team in the Nations League. They don't do anything. Putting them in a Copa America, they still don't do anything. They lose in the quarterfinals all the time. Mexico is not in this realm above everybody else, as much as a lot of people would like to think. They're just not, because Mexico does not do anything in the World Cup. They don't do anything on the grand stage. And the only time the USA and Mexico played each other in the World Cup was back in 2002. Guess who won that game? 2-0. The USA won. Mexico is not this team that should be at a higher pedestal than the USA and Canada, because last time I checked, They don't get past the round of 16. Last time I checked, they don't do anything against the big boys, just like the rest of CONCACAF. That's exactly why. They need competition against Argentina, Brazil, actual teams that will go past that round. They're just going to lose because Mexico doesn't produce a whole lot of talent. What, Chicharito? What happened to Chucky Lozano? What happened to him? He was this next great thing. Failed and flopped miserably at Napoli. Who was a little short guy that was at Bayer Leverkusen towards the early 2020s, and he was supposed to be this next big thing. Not Gilberto Mora. I forgot his name. I can picture him. He scored in the Nations League final back in 2020, won against the U.S. No, he was this next big thing. He flopped miserably. None of these Mexico players are do anything. I bet you Gilberto Mora, he's going to flop tremendously as well. Quinones, who is their best player, isn't even from Mexico. He's from Colombia. So Mexico isn't producing players. CONCACAF does not produce players. Their best players, Balogun, their best player is from England. Quinones, best player, is from Colombia. So this region does not produce talent at all. All the best talent comes from Europe or CONMEBOL. Like, they are not going to do anything. The fact that we're putting Mexico on a pedestal because they have soccer culture compared to the U.S. and Canada. No, not at all. Like, Mexico is not that good. Last time I checked, they've not gotten past they've only gotten past the round of 16 one time since World War II. That was like 1982 or whatever it was. Or 86, I forget which year it was. But since then, they have not gotten past the round of 16. They beat a shitty Ecuador team in the round of 32 who really wasn't that good. No, Mexico does not deserve to be on this pedestal above everyone else because, well, they should just move on to the next federation. So what are you going to do, Mexico? You've got no rivalries outside of the United States. You can't beat any of those other teams. Even if you're putting just against the CONMEBOL teams in a Copa America or all the time rather than just one time every 4 years, you're not going to win anything. You don't produce talent on the talent that Brazil and Argentina do. Like that's why. That's exactly why. USA has no such culture in soccer like South America, but Mexico has it. I see Mexico better in the future than the United States. In my opinion, Mexico always is better than the United States. So Swiss, tell me why they haven't gotten past the round of 16 in the World Cup since World War I or World War II. Tell me why. Tell me why, if this culture and why they're so much better. Why didn't they beat England when they got a gift of a penalty, and why they didn't score more than 2 goals when they were up a man for 40 minutes? Why didn't they do that? Why? Like, remember when they beat Germany in 2018? Why didn't they move on and get past the round of 16 then? Why didn't they do that? Because Mexico isn't that good. I hope the people realize that this CONCACAF region really is not that good. Mexico is supposed to be very good, yet they don't do anything. I don't understand why Mexico is given this level. They don't do anything at all. This is a good point, though, from exactly. So based off why should Mexico stay in CONCACAF, you just contradicted yourself. Because the reason that I said the whole region, Mexico, Canada, and USA, should go over there, it's not just because your point was Mexico should just go over there because they're better than CONCACAF. Mexico is not better than CONCACAF. If we're going just by World Cup results in this whole century, Costa Rica and the USA should move on to CONMEBOL rather than Mexico. Mexico should not have this pedestal because they've got this soccer culture. They've got this history. They've got history of sucking in the World Cup. I'll give you that. They haven't gotten past the round of 16, but they don't even compete against some of these teams in the World Cup. The whole region doesn't. This whole region of CONCACAF is just a poor man's league. It's a farmer's league, as they say over in like Liga 1 and the Bundesliga. Like, it's not that good. And their best player is not from Mexico. The United States' best player is not from the United States. That's just the reality of it. This region of CONCACAF does not produce the best players, or does not produce great players. They don't. all of them come from players and come from countries that just cannot make it in that country. Balogun's England. He couldn't make it in England. Quinones is Colombian. He couldn't make it into Colombia. That's just the reality of it. And we've got to accept that this region is not even in the same stratosphere as a CONMEBOL or in a UEFA. They're just not. Because whenever they play the big teams, they don't win. USA's last European win was against Bosnia in like 2021. And then Bosnia is like the 60th ranked team in the world right now. So that's the reality of it. And in this soccer culture, that Swiss was talking about, why if their soccer culture is like so much greater than the U.S. and Costa Rica, and why hasn't that gotten them like a step above? Why hasn't that gotten them into a quarterfinals or a semifinal of a World Cup? If the soccer culture is so good, why did they lose to the U.S. for like 4 years straight from 2020 to 2024? If that soccer culture is just so great, like why haven't they gotten to a semifinals? If the culture is so great, the soccer culture doesn't mean anything. Michigan football has got some of the biggest passion. The Detroit Lions have some of the most passionate fans in all of the NFL. Yet we've won like 3 playoff games since World War II. Like if culture matters so much, you can have passionate fans, you can have people who give a damn, you can have fans that give a damn, but that doesn't really do anything at all. Because if the culture is so big, why doesn't that carry over? No need to give a stray to our good friends in Scotland, but if Scotland's got such a great soccer culture, why didn't they get out of the group? Like, why didn't they make a World Cup for however long it was? I'm just saying, like, the soccer culture, well, they care so much more, this, and that. If they cared so much, why doesn't that take people over? Because the best teams in the world are levels above everybody else. Argentina's, France's, England's, Spain's, the Netherlands, and not really anymore, but, like, they are the best. Germany used to be. But they used to be better, or they're just better than everyone else. Are their fans equally as passionate as the Scotland fans, the Mexico fans, the Colombia fans? Like, sure. But all I'm saying is this culture talk doesn't mean anything because they aren't producing the talent that the best teams of the world are doing. That's just the reality of it. If, like, looking at the Premier League for an example, Man City does not have their fans are plastic as hell. They've been fans of the team for like 10 years, yet they win all the time. Why is it Manchester United winning stuff as much as Man City? Because they've got the better fans. It's because they have better players, they have better talent. The best talent in the world is in UEFA, and it's in Argentina and Brazil. Well, maybe not Brazil anymore, but based on recency. But back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, yeah, Brazil had it all. But just because Mexico has better fans and more passionate fans, and that's their main sport, does not put them on a pedestal that they are better than the U.S. men's national team, and they deserve to get in CONMEBOL over all those teams. Again, apologies for not getting into your comments here for a split second. You don't get how important soccer culture is. That's I just read that one. I didn't say the USA should not. I said Mexico should. LM, I think both of them. If we're being honest, I think the USA probably has a better case of being into CONMEBOL. More money, more infrastructure, more youth soccer players playing, and better World Cup results as of recent. So yeah, since the 2000s. Dan says here in Europe we see Mexico better than USA in football. I don't know how you can say that. Tell me the last time Mexico has gotten past the round of 16 since 2000. USA more World Cup knockout victories than Mexico, and one of them was against Mexico. Nobody is stopping the USA from not following, but Mexico supporters have been asking this for years. Every team, including in Europe, have dual nats, and those who become citizens of that country. Well, if Mexico deserves to be in CONMEBOL, then they should start, winning in the World Cup more. They should start beating these teams more. But they don't. They don't, because Mexico, USA are just not that good at soccer compared to the rest of those teams. That's why they play each other in CONCACAF, because that's like the one game that they can actually win against a relatively good top 15 team in the world. Like, if we're being honest, USA and Mexico should not even be in the top 15 in the world rankings on a consistent basis. the only reason they're in the top 15 of the the world rankings on a consistent basis is because they play against the shitty CONCACAF teams like Panama, Costa Rica, Canada all the time, Honduras all the time. So they're winning games constantly. And then when they play against the South American teams, it's like Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, who now sucks. Like, they win those games, but they get blown out. USA lost like 4-0 to Turkey recently. Like, these teams just get blown out on the biggest stages. Like, I don't understand why Mexico should like get this pedestal over the USA, because if we're being honest, both of them just suck compared to the rest of the world. Like, you put if it was 11v11 England versus Mexico that entire game, and you played that on a neutral site, England wins that game by 3 goals. That's just the reality of it. But they played at home. Again, play where you got to play and where you got to play. But all I'm saying is Mexico should not be on this pedestal over the United States. That's just not a real thing. And hey, I think while we've been talking about this, I'm pretty sure Mexico just crossed the ball in the box and Dan Burn headed away. John Stone's headed away. I think they're still crossing the ball in for the box. Oh, Quinones just crossed another one in. Oh, he just got headed away again. They're not creative at all. That's just the reality of it. Let's see here. I love how passionate you talk about soccer. Soccer culture has nothing to do with winning or losing. Yeah, I agree with you. Swiss. USA doesn't have football culture. Well, we do have football culture, just American football. Mexico is the goose laying the golden eggs. LOL. They have a football culture. The reason why USA doesn't have a soccer culture is because they've got baseball, they've got American football, and they've got what's the other sport? Basketball. Those are the 3, and then you've got all the college sports in there too. That's like in a sport. That's a different sport in its own self. So you've got all that. I mean, Mexico has what? Just baseball and soccer or football, as they say. But no, I'm sure a lot of people probably like Mexico soccer more than the USA soccer, and that's a completely fair argument, and I would completely agree with you based on the authenticity and the amount of passion that those fans have. But yet they don't do anything in the grand scheme of things, like at all. But it is like that. Ask 100 European who's better, Mexico or USA. I say 90-10 Mexico. I do think some people might say, I don't think it would be 90-10. I think it would change a little bit. I would say probably 70-30, because I think now if you were to look at the American soccer player compared to the Mexico soccer player, as of recent, I mean, we won't even count the dual nats like an Anthony Robinson, a Balogun that are playing really well overseas. Malik Tillman is another one that's from Germany. But Pulisic is American. He's been playing overseas. Weston McKennie he's just a Swiss Army knife for Juventus. What's his name? Tyler Adams plays for Bournemouth, locked up Erling Haaland in that game that got Arsenal the Premier League title. But like and then you look at Mexico, their players, I mean, Raul Jimenez, that's it. I think in Europe. I think what's his name? Plays for West Ham. Edson Alvarez, but he really wasn't in the rotation or the squad rotation towards the end of the season. But I mean, they've got a couple players, but the USA has more players in Europe rather than the Mexico players, because Mexico loves keeping their players domestically. I believe that's like kind of like one of their rules, and I think that hurts their growth a little bit. Like Chucky Lozano was one of those players that played for Napoli. He was supposed to be like it was supposed to be a rivalry between Pulisic and Chucky Lozano when it came to the national team all the time, but Lozano completely flamed out. I think he's on the LA Galaxy now. I think in the MLS. I think he's LAFC or LA Galaxy. I forget where Chucky Lozano is. And then the one little short guy who was at Bayer Leverkusen, he was supposed to be a big thing, and he completely flamed out. Again, I'm not saying like Pulisic is like this talent that is like I'm not saying all these players are like the greatest players of all time, but if you look at the body of work from American soccer players overseas and what they're doing in Europe compared to the Mexico soccer players and what their body of work in Europe is, it's a night and day difference between the USA and Mexico, but that's also what Mexico is doing. I also don't see any Premier League club going to the MLS or going into Liga MX and spending $15 million on a Mexico player that's 19 years old. I'm not seeing that at all. I could understand what you're saying there, Swiss. I would still probably say the rest of the world probably likes Mexico soccer more than the United States, but I would not say it's 90-10 at all. I think it's more probably 70-30. Maybe you're looking at 65-35, but yeah, no. USA has its own sports culture. Yes, it does. It does, but it doesn't. It's in different sports. It's just like college football. It's really in the college sports, basketball, college football. College football is like, I would say college football is the closest in terms of passion and atmosphere to a European soccer game. But let's take a quick break real quick. I know it's like 9:30. Jesus, we are way over when we should take a break. Let's take a quick break real quick. We'll get to Dan's comment. We'll get back into the swing of things and why CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, and all that fun stuff. We'll get to that right after the break. We'll continue this conversation. But we'll carry this right after this, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome to the National Soccer Network, your home for soccer. One destination, every match, every moment. Built for players, powered by passion. Live games, highlights, and more each and every day. Only on the National Soccer Network.
Orange Slices is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, think you know who's hitting a homer today? Well, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. Joining the action is easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game, and if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. You've got nothing to lose and a lot to gain. And don't forget, you can make a free pick every day during the MLB season. It's just another reason why FanDuel is the home for home runs. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action on FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. 21 and over, select state. Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 and over in D.C., Kentucky, and Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. In Connecticut, call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. In Massachusetts, visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. And listen to Orange Slices, sponsored by FanDuel Predicts, wherever you get your podcast.
Great game footage starts with Veo. Now a pass deep and up front. With NSN, we can transfer your Veo footage into a professional broadcast. Elevate your Veo experience today. Call 248-525-2083.
Opportunity and a shot and a goal!
The National Soccer Network, your home for soccer.
All right, welcome into episode 331. Again, make sure you guys smash that like button if you have not already. Subscribe if you have not already. Again, continue to get your thoughts on in the chat. I love hearing what you guys have had to say about this. Again, I know most of you guys are from Europe, but I really love that you guys are like in tune with the USA-Mexico rivalry and all that fun stuff, and all about that. But again, continuing on about USA, Mexico, and CONMEBOL, CONCACAF. Maybe we're gonna save Kevin Sullivan for another day tomorrow. Who really knows? Dan says, I understand the rivalry between USA and Mexico, but for present, I see Mexico better than the USA, but in the near future, with the right steps, USA is powerful economically and everything could change. I think you're right. And if you're looking at the USA from the US men's national team from 2021, because I think that's technically when the Nations League was playing, because I don't think they played much in 2020. So 2021 up into 2024, that was all the U.S. men's national team. That's what they were doing. Now we've seen them not take the Gold Cup seriously. We've seen them not take the Nations League seriously. We've seen them not take the under-20 seriously. Like, if you look at the best players, the best U.S. men's national team prospects in the under-20s, I mean, they were either all their best players were playing in the MLS, or they were overseas, like a Matthias Albert, what he's doing with Dortmund. So like they didn't have their best players. Like, I understand that's probably not a fair argument where it's like you've got to play your best players, or you got to do what you got to do. Don't make excuses, and I'm not going to make an excuse why they lost. But the USA has not taken, and I agree with everyone, like USA needs to take back the region, because from 2021 to 2024. CONCACAF North America was all the U.S., and they haven't taken it seriously. They've taken their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Maybe the USA players don't care about it as much, but I don't think that's true based on just the recent results. I know it's gotten very chippy, and that's why I hate Mexico so much, is because whenever they start losing, oh my God, they turn into Man City, dude. They just become bitches, dude. They just start whacking the shit out of people, and they start flopping, they start crying. It's so awesome to watch sometimes. LM says, Mexico is still ahead. More Gold Cups. Yeah, Ellen, let me know where you're from. I know Dan's Dan, based on his flag profile pictures, Romania, Swiss, obviously Switzerland. Dave is Scotland. So I wonder if you're a European or you're a USA native. But Mexico is still ahead. More Gold Cups, a better all-time head-to-head record. More World Cup round of 16 appearances, yet they don't get past that at all. And a higher FIFA ranking. USA has closed the gap, but still better. Yeah, I still think Mexico is going to be a higher ranking. I still don't believe Mexico and the U.S. should even be in the top 15 because I think their results and what they do on the global scale is a little bit skewed compared to what the majority does, and more potential aren't the same. I agree with you, Ellen. I am not a big prospects guy. That's why when I hear about the whole stupid Tiger I know we're on back to baseball for a split second, but hearing about after we traded Skubal and they have all these, oh my God, we got all these baseball prospects. Yeah, they're 2 levels below the MLB. I don't care what they do in that. All that matters is what you do for me in the MLB, what you do for the first team. It's like hearing about when it comes to, obviously as an Arsenal fan, what I hear about, oh my God, this guy, what he's doing in the academy is so good. It's all this and that. What does he do for the first team? That's all that matters. I get the more potential thing, but I think what I was trying to say with the more USA players being overseas than the Mexico players, I think it is mainly with I think it is more with what they've been doing in their body of work compared to the American players. Not just what they're doing, but look at Pulisic, McKennie, Adams, all those guys, Anthony Robinson, Flo Balogun. What have they been doing overseas compared to what the Mexico players have? Williams says, hi Ryan, greetings from Ecuador. Yeah, William, let me know what you think about if CONMEBOL and CONCACAF should merge together. Hello to Fabian. He also says Mexico's arguably the biggest football draw in CONCACAF. I would agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. Its USA matches routinely sell out, and experts have noted that no national team generates more money in the USA than Mexico, not even the US. Well, I mean, you got to look at, it's all the southwestern countries, or states, I don't know why I said countries, Texas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, those, and look, when you play a USA-Mexico game in like California or Vegas or in San Diego doesn't have any stadiums there anymore. You play it in Dallas. It's going to be a majority Mexico fans because they have a greater Mexican population in those areas compared to Americans. And if we're being completely honest, in Texas, they don't really give a shit about the sport of soccer. All they care about is American football. So that's what I'm saying. Swiss Michael, do young American talents get enough playing time in the MLS? They used to not. Swiss. They used to not, but we have seen in this recent year in the MLS in the year prior that we are starting to see a lot of American talents. And I think that's starting to become something in terms of our academies. Because like 10 years ago, like the best if you wanted to go anywhere in soccer, you had to go overseas. That's what Pulisic and McKennie and all those guys were doing because, I mean, Tyler Adams, he was New York and he played in the Red Bulls Academy. But we have seen recently, and especially this year, I think there's 7, 8 to 10 players, teenagers that are American that are really starting to burst onto the first team this year. Mehmeti, Julian Hall, Peyton Miller, New York Revolution, Gozo, who you just saw make the move to the Premier League and in Crystal Palace. Kevin Sullivan, Neil Pierre is his name, the 6'6" center back, which all the Americans are drooling over because he's built like a basketball player and like a football player. So everyone's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna win the World Cup, guys!" No, we're not. But yeah, no. USA must take the English Premier League as model and lower leagues with relegations and promotions. Big rivalries between USA club teams, and after some years, will be more powerful than in the present. Dan, so. I don't know if you know how the USA soccer system works, but MLS is its own thing. It's its own entity, no promotion relegation. But then there's another league that here at the National Soccer Network, we work very closely with the USL2. USL2 is technically, if you look at the grand scheme of things, the USL2 is the 4th division of American soccer in this country. They're in level with the UPSL, which again, separate from the USL. But the USL, there's currently, right now, as currently constructed, the USL Championship, where Detroit City FC plays out of, where if you followed us on social media, we've been there a couple times. there's USL League 1 and then USL 2, which if you followed us on social media, you would have seen all the USL 2 coverage from this past summer. But in 2028, I believe is the year, 2028 or 2029, I forget the exact year, is when this Pro Rel is supposedly supposed to start with the USL clubs. It's going to be built exactly like, it's literally, the names are the exact same name as the EFL, which is USL Premier, USL Championship, USL League 1, and USL League 2. So in a couple of years, yes, there is going to be promotion relegation. Some of these USL 2 clubs that we've worked really closely with, even the USL Championship clubs, they have very good foundations, very good atmospheres. Detroit City FC, very passionate fan base, very passionate. I really think Detroit City FC was really starting to pick up steam because the Tigers sucked, and that's the only team that was playing in the summer. Vermont Green is a very good one. Virginia Beach is a very good one. Flint City, very passionate fans as well. So there's a lot of passionate fans all across these USL clubs. And the MLS, I think the stadiums don't do it justice. I think the MLS, I think they have a good foundation and a very good core of fans that truly care about the sport. I think if you look at a team like Columbus, the Columbus Crew, they're a very passionate group, but sometimes you see like big 60,000, 70,000 seat stadiums, and it's like it only brings in like 15, 20,000 fans, but those 15, 20,000 fans are very passionate, but the stadiums just don't do it justice when it comes to the MLS. So that's why. William, sometimes I would love to see the Americans united through soccer, as happens in other sports like tennis, volleyball, or basketball. No, I would love, again, back to the main point, though, of this episode today, which is just going to be the bulk. I think it's going to be the entire episode. So all that rundown that James and I talked about beforehand, probably going to not happen today. But hey, I love having the interaction with all you guys. Whatever topics get the most interaction with you guys, I love talking about. But no, CONMEBOL, CONCACAF. The reason why I think both of them should do stuff is I'm looking at the Copa America once every 4 years. You can play the Gold Cup if you want to. I really could care less about it, because if you were to do the Copa America every 4 years, so every 2 summers from the World Cup and into Copa America, I'm fine with that. You can throw in the B team and the C team in the Copa America or in the Gold Cup, and they could beat Guatemala 5-0, could care less about it. I would probably still tune in because I'm a big U.S. men's national team fan, but I still would not care about it at all. But no, I love what they're doing there, and I would really like to see a little bit more from the Nations League. I would like to see some CONMEBOL, CONCACAF Nations Leagues pods a little bit more, because I mean, if you look at CONCACAF, it's literally USA, Mexico, and then Canada, and like a mixture of Panama and like Honduras. No, I haven't been there recently. Trinidad, I don't know. Like, it's usually like those 4 teams. I know it's kind of the same in CONMEBOL, but you'd get some different stuff a little bit more often, and I would really like to see that. So I would like to see CONMEBOL, CONCACAF come together. Copa America every 4 years in wherever country they feel like it. I don't care where it happens, but the USA can do all that infrastructure. They can host it if they really want to every single time, and they won't have to lift a finger. All they got to do is be like, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here. We're going to play in this stadium. Boom, everything's done. Also, security needs to be a little bit better compared to that last Copa America. Nations League, I would love to see a lot more with CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, because I'm tired of seeing USA, Mexico in the Nations League final all the time. USA, Canada, Mexico, Canada. I'm tired of seeing that all the time, and I think some of the CONMEBOL teams are tired of seeing Argentina, Brazil all the time. Argentina, Colombia all the time. So I would like to see those Nations Leagues come together as well. And also in the under 20 tournaments and the under 21 tournaments, the same thing. I would like to see them come together, because ultimately iron sharpens iron, and ultimately UEFA is like up here, CONMEBOL is like here, and then CONCACAF is like not even on the screen. Like, we need to see some that gap between CONCACAF and CONMEBOL start to close, and then we've got to see that gap between the Americas and UEFA close to really start to see. I mean, if you look at the last World Cup, every World Cup besides 2022, it has been won by there's a chat poll, by the way. Should CONCACAF and CONMEBOL combine? Heck yes or hell no, says James. That's what he chose here today, I guess. But no, I would love to see that, and I would like to see more teams and more more teams other than UEFA teams win the World Cup. Last couple of questions before we get into the last break here today on Inside the Game. Have MLS teams farm teams like in other sports? It's just the academies. They just have their own academies, so it's just that's what they do. So I guess that's their farm teams. I guess it's just their academies is what it is. Never been interested in Mexican soccer because they have journalists and fans who hype up their national teams and look down on soccer in the USA and other countries. Yeah, there's a big ego when it comes to Mexico inside CONCACAF. That's why when they start losing, they just start bitching all the time. That's why I prefer to watch American or Canadian soccer, says William. Smash that horn right there. We haven't hit the horn like all week, have we? There's a horn there for you, William. Sometimes they can be very arrogant, which is something I don't see with... Yeah, no, I don't think Canadian or American soccer is as arrogant as Mexico soccer is. So, again, we could continue this conversation on the other side of the break. If not, we've got a couple other things to talk about. Rodri, where he's going to go. We can go Kevin Sullivan. We will have members only after this as well, which we can talk about God knows what. So, by the way, 5 of you already voted. 100% of you guys say yes, they should combine CONCACAF and CONMEBOL. So that's pretty sick. Anyway, 331 will continue right after this, so don't go anywhere. Inside the Game will continue.
Great game footage starts with Vio. Now a pass deep and up front. With NSN, we can transfer your Vio footage into a professional broadcast. Elevate your Vio experience today. Call 248-525-2083.
Opportunity and a shot and a goal!
The National Soccer Network, your home for soccer.
West Coast Goalkeeping, America's largest goalkeeper outfitter. Built by keepers, worn by pros. Made for keepers who live to stop everything.
All right, smash that horn. Smash that horn, James. Smash it. And make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe if you have not already. Let's see if we can get to at least 5 likes here in the final 12 minutes or so of the show. We still have to get into question of the day as well. We could, again, if we still want to talk about this, we can. If not, we've got some other things that we can talk about. LM says, honestly, if Honduras, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and other Central American teams improved and were competitive, there would be no reason for Mexico to want to leave for CONMEBOL. I mean, it'd be the same thing for the USA as well. No, I think you're right though, and I think that with the increased kind of exposure of dual nationals in recent years. Like if I look at Jamaica for an example, where they got Damari Gray and Mikel Antonio from England, I think the level from CONCACAF has improved a little bit from what it was 10 years ago. And I think really what you're looking for, and the reason we posed this question was simply because of the fact that the USA and Mexico, that's really all it is, and all the other teams that are in this region aren't very good. And and I think you're 100% right, LM, if those teams were to get better, and for a split second there, for like a a 4-year window, Costa Rica was one of those teams that was actually pretty good and it was making life difficult for a lot of those USA and Mexico teams, but they all aged out and they haven't been able to create the same amount of talent that they did back in 2014, 2016. They've been unable to do that. And if they were to get good, yeah, but I just don't see that happening. And if it did happen, that'd be like another like 2 generations of players for that really to change things. But I mean, Panama was very good like 10 years ago, and they have like fallen by the wayside just a tad bit recently. So yeah, no, I think you're right. I like to see Kevin Sullivan and Flo Balogun playing together. Says William. Yeah, I would love to see that too. I would like to see Pulisic, Balogun, and Sullivan play together as a front three or whatever Pochettino decides to use. Again, I still don't think Pochettino is going to be the manager in 2030, but that's just my reality. But I do believe that if Sullivan is what he's supposed to be, and what Albert is supposed to be. I mean, I could see Albert being better than Sullivan, which is a good thing because you want as many good players as you possibly can. But again, there's a very strong possibility that they both flop. I mean, Gio Reyna went to Dortmund. He isn't anything. Pulisic went to Dortmund. He's obviously a lot better. Eric Palmer-Brown went to Manchester City. He is not even in the conversation. He's never been in the conversation to make the U.S. men's national team. And now you've got Kevin Sullivan who will be going there. But imagine the front three of Pulisic, Balogun, and Sullivan. Now that is an enticing front three because if you think about it, Pulisic and Balogun, we know how well those two work together in that World Cup. And if Sullivan is anywhere near what Pulisic and Balogun are, you can't box in Pulisic anymore on the outside flanks. You just can't, because if you box him in, then that leaves Sullivan on the other side, and he's not going to have as much attention, so you're going to have to get burned by one of them. But again, we're so far away from Sullivan being in that conversation of being in the same tier, in the same stratosphere as Pulisic, and by the next World Cup, Sullivan would be 20, Pulisic would be 30, 31, 29, somewhere in that age range, in that age bracket. So the reality is in their prime, the front three you're looking at is Xavier Gozo, Albert, and Sullivan. That's the three that you're looking at. Gozo now at Crystal Palace, Albert's at Dortmund currently, and Sullivan will be at Manchester City. So that's what the front three of the future would look like. But hey, if Sullivan can, be very good early, and I could 100% see Pulisic, Balogun, and Sullivan being a force to be reckoned with at the next World Cup in 2030. Swiss Michael says, remember Usain Bolt trying to play in England, third or fourth league? Yeah, that was after, when was the Olympics? 2012? 2012 in Britain? So I think after 2012, I think he tried to, James, I have to search that up real quick. What year did he try to play? It was either after the 2012 Olympics or after the 2016 Olympics. I think it was 2012 because that's when he was like still kind of, young-ish. So I think it was 2012, but I do remember that he was a big like Manchester United guy. And there was like theories back then. Could one day Usain Bolt be the Manchester United outside winger or like whatever it was?
2018 is when
2018?
he tried.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was way off. It was after one of the Olympics. So 2016, the ones in Brazil, which, by the way, don't know why Brazil hosted the 2014 World Cup and then the 2016 Olympics. What are they doing with those stadiums now? Absolutely nothing. And that's why you should never host the Olympics unless you have all the infrastructure built, like the United States. And Great Britain when they did it. But no, I think in the reality of it for Kevin Sullivan, and we may touch on it in the members only. We'll probably touch on Rodri a little bit more in the members only as well. But like looking at the young offensive prospects at the U.S. men's national team, Ryan, do you think Larry Berg will? I thought I was going to say Larry Bird, but I was like, no. Larry Berg will raise the MLS salary cap. Is that the name of the new commissioner? I won't lie. I've seen it, but I haven't. What's his name? Yeah, Larry Berg. Okay, you are correct. He is the next commissioner. Is he going to raise? I mean, good question. I would say yeah. I would say yes. I would say he's going to raise the MLS salary cap because, again, the MLS, they want more money. 7 clubs are valued at over $1 billion. A lot of the clubs, I think like 90% of the clubs are profitable. So yeah, I think that the league, and especially after the World Cup, and if all of a sudden Jeff Bezos is investing in Liverpool, which what did we talk about, James? Is can we find a billionaire that gets moved by the game of soccer where they want to invest in the game of soccer?
I mean, Bezos was moved, but apparently he was moved in the wrong freaking direction.
Yeah, and maybe one of the other billionaires is like, I have a massive ego of Jeff Bezos. I can now invest in the game of soccer, but I'm going to do it here. So, I think what we talked about is like hopefully that some of these big billionaires or millionaire investment groups, whatever it is, they can invest in the game of soccer. So, again, I think the game of soccer in America is just continuing to go up like this. And that's, again, please, I hate when people think that I'm saying that soccer is going to overtake basketball and overtake American football. The only sports it could realistically take over is baseball and hockey. And with baseball probably going to have a lockout next year, it very well could. And I think it's already taken over hockey. Hockey's a very niche sport as well in this country. But again, I think he will. And I think obviously with which would attract a lot more high level players. And it would attract a lot of hopefully better quality players that are in their prime a little bit more, but with the wave of just some dollar bills in their face. I know that probably a lot of players, a lot of the best players in the world don't want to move to the MLS in their primes, but we've also seen a lot of players move to Saudi and remember the old China Super League, like in the 2010s, that was supposed to rival the Premier League and rival all these different leagues, and it never did. And the MLS is probably one of those leagues that could sustain a little bit of that. So again, I think that they're going to raise the MLS salary cap just a little bit to try to get a lot of those ones. Yeah, I believe MLS teams need to win the CONCACAF Champions League consistently as what is it? A lot more often as well, because that's what we are seeing. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, no, I would agree with that, and obviously that's a big thing as well for all these different teams in all these two countries of getting a competition like the CONCACAF Champions League in there. LM, don't think Mexico will leave CONCACAF, but let's say in theory they do. What happens to the U.S. and Canada and CONCACAF overall, in your opinion? I would say if Mexico were to leave, then I think you would see both the USA and Canada leave as well, or at least attempt to leave. Again, USA probably would have a better chance than Canada, because if we're being honest, USA has this. We know how corrupt CONMEBOL is if we're looking at Argentina recently. So, yeah, I think if Mexico were to go, then the USA would go. Canada might be a little bit harder to go, just simply because of the fact that they don't have what both of those two nations have, which is Mexico has history, the United States has all the money and all the infrastructure and all the stadiums. So I would say yeah, I think in theory, if Mexico were to leave, I think the USA would leave as well. Canada probably would be able to leave as well, but CONCACAF as a whole, though, to answer that part of the question, it would probably just go bankrupt because it's like Honduras and all of them and stuff. William, I like what Arthur Blank is doing with Atlanta United. Yeah, as long as he doesn't choke any more Super Bowls, that's for sure. Shout out 28-3 Patriots versus the Falcons. But no, I think Atlanta United, since coming into the league, which was like I don't know when they came to the league, 2010s, they've done a really nice job. They've fallen off the face of the earth a little bit in terms of what they were doing with Almiron and Joseph Martinez, but and Brad Guzan was their goalie as well, but they haven't been to that level recently. But yeah, I agree with you. USA soccer needs investors. Elon Musk, did you like the World Cup? Come on down. Let's create the Tesla Soccer Academy, or Tesla Soccer, whatever it is.
No, we're just gonna start the Cyber Soccer League.
Cyber Soccer,
Cyber Soccer League.
But we can do that anyway. I know we're kind of down to the nitty gritty here, but let's get into question of the day before we get into members only.
Yeah, so for question of the day, here we go. I kind of want to talk about development and everything. So should young players here in the U.S. Specialize early, or should they be playing multiple sports?
I would say play multiple sport, because this is what a lot of American athletes do, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever it is. I would say specialize in. I would say play multiple sports up into the age of like 14. And then after 14, start to specialize in that main sport that you want to play in, which would be, in this case, soccer. So I would say by the age of 14, I would say specialize in soccer by then. But again, specializing in just one sport at the age of 8 to 12 or to 8 to 13 is kind of nonsense in my opinion. Because, I mean, then you're going to start to get the overuse injuries. You're going to start to, because you're using the same muscles all the time. Whereas then you could play soccer, basketball at a good age as well. But, I would say specialize in soccer by the age of 14 and 15 because I think most of the world, you're kind of on the same level by then. But I would say play multiple sports as young as possible. Last comment that we can get into: investors who want to make money with soccer come to Europe. Sorry guys, no, you're right. That's why the Glazers, Kroenkes, FSG, Bezos now, and all of them. That's why they are That's why they're overseas all the time and investing in that. But that's gonna wrap up Inside the Game here, episode 331. Again, appreciate all of it here today. We'll be moving into our members only here after that. But again, back here tomorrow on Thursday. We could talk about this again if you guys really want to. But appreciate all the comments here today about it. Really love the engagement as always. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you on the other side for members only. If you're not a member and you're off doing the rest of your day, we'll see you tomorrow. Again, appreciate all of you guys. But my name is Ryan Glinsky, James Schofield. We'll see you on the other side. All right, everybody. Welcome back into Inside the Game podcast.
You are a soccer nation.
Have such a deep appreciation for hyper-local, community-based, lower-level soccer. There's going to be millions of fans over here that want to watch and consume as much football as they can.
What you are doing is important. And this is all about, like I said, spreading the gospel. It takes a village, right?
No, I just really appreciate being on here and you being able to provide this platform for, us and all those people grinding away at the lower leagues, just trying to make great things happen. So I really appreciate you and you guys know what you're doing, and